What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives of the Round Table. My name is Marco, and today we're taking a look at the Spyderco Drunken. Now, the Spyderco Drunken is a knife that I've been wanting to get in my collection and to try and test out and to check it out. But it's a very expensive knife, to be honest. It's in the neighborhood of $550, $530, thereabouts. So I could never really pull the trigger. I didn't think, it was very hard for me to say I'll buy this instead of a XM18 or a Sebenza, of a higher end knife. So I never really got into it. But then, here about maybe 3-4 months ago, there was a discount on the Drunken, and they discounted it to about $350. And even then, it was like right borderline where I was willing to kind of buy this knife. But I got it. And so now, today, you can only find it at $540 or whatever it is. So I would not recommend you buy it at that price, but that's kind of, it took me a long time to get it, just because I didn't think that the value was there at $540 for the knife. So let me give you a tour of the knife. This is a Dmitry Sinkevich design, and you can see here, hopefully you can see the maker's mark right here, Sinkevich design. And what you've got here, it's an S90V blade. Okay, it is an S90V blade. It's shy of 3.5 inches, 3 3/8 thereabouts. You've got this sheep's foot blade in this kind of very, very interesting, kind of similar to the Spidey shaft. It has a lot of that flavor. And what you've got here is a carbon fiber that's been milled. Hopefully the milling comes across. Let me see if I can get you. Hopefully the milling, there's milling all over the place in this thing. Hopefully that's coming across. There's textures, what I'm trying to say. There's different faces, but there's also texturing on the carbon fiber. Hopefully that came across. You've got a blue anodized kind of hardware, and in the back is a titanium frame lock. And again, so I think it's clear. The milling, it's a little bit more clear on the titanium side, so you have that kind of same milling on the carbon fiber side. Okay, you've got a titanium frame lock, you have a lock bar insert, bent pocket clip, and yeah, that's kind of what you've got. You've got a lanyard hole that's kind of unobtrusive here in the back, so that's kind of what you have. So let me give you some size comparisons for this. So here is the PM2, so very much in the same size range as the PM2. It's a lot thinner though, so I'll show you here thickness. It's a lot thinner than the PM2. Hopefully that comes across right there. It's a lot thinner, and it goes to a fairly more compact size. You don't get this this big hump that you get in the PM2. So you got more sharpened blade length, and you've got about the same amount of handle, or the scale is about the same size. You can see here. Now you are able to get a little bit closer to the action on the PM2, just because of this kind of forward half choil that they've got here. But you get a lot more blade on the Drunken. So let me show you. Here's the mini bug out, and here's the full size bug out. Okay, so I think the thickness wise, it's kind of similar to the bug out. Size wise, it's similar to PM2. So kind of a marriage between the thickness of a bug out and the size proportions of a PM2. That's kind of what you've got. Now, let me get into it. Let's start with ergonomics. And the ergonomics on this are pretty darn good. You've got kind of like this space for your first two fingers, and then you got this flat for the other two. And what that does when you got this kind of break is that it really locks the knife into your hand. You got a little bit of jimping. The jimping is a little bit back from where I want to put my finger. My finger naturally lands a little bit forward, okay? In a saber grip. It's comfortable in a hammer grip. And this, for, it's a sheep's foot, so you may want to do some, some flat, some cuts on a flat surface or something like that, or cooking, or in a pinch grip. And for those, it's very comfortable. It's not contoured in the same that it's not rounded, but you do have like a face here, and a face here, and that gives you kind of that feeling of contouring that they've done in this direction. And the different faces is very nice. The milling, the texturing that they've done on the carbon fiber on the titanium side, it gives you a fairly good grip, so you do feel it locked in. I don't feel any hot spots. The pocket clip, even though it's kind of like this just bent piece of titanium, and it's fairly thin, but it's very shallow, and we'll get to that here in a second. It's very shallow, so you don't feel it very much, especially in a hammer grip. It kind of in a hammer grip you don't feel it at all. You feel it a little bit on a saber grip, but the ergonomics are pretty good. The ergonomics on this knife are decent. I think I like the ergonomics better of the PM2, especially if you get something that is not, that doesn't have the flat surface like this scales do when you have a little bit of rounding. But I would say that it's not a negative of the knife. I think it's something that's pretty darn neutral. So let's talk action, because of what you just saw me do. The action is okay. So this is on phosphor bronze washers. I don't know. Let me see if I can get you close here. Yeah. So maybe you can see it right in there. It's got phosphor bronze washers. So you get a kind of a phosphor bronze washer action, right? It's more hydraulic, but it's not drop shutty. It's the detent is pretty good. You can deploy it reliably. But it's more of a utilitarian type action rather than going for fidgety action. Okay, so you'll feel, I think it's a little bit faster, snappier than what you get from like a Sebenza type of thing, but I don't think it's as hydraulic, as glassy. The action in a Sebenza or on the Chris Reeve knives feels more premium. And I bring that out because if you're gonna end up paying $540 for this, then you get a very nice Sebenza or an Incosi or an Unumzon for kind of the same price. So that's a fair comparison, right? You're comparing this frame lock against those frame locks. So man, that's what I'm saying. You're gonna, at that price point, you start to compare this to much bigger boys, right? You're not comparing against a pair 2 that's also on phosphor bronze washers. You're comparing it against Chris Reeve and Rick Hinder and those kinds of knives. So I don't think that the action is quite on par. Like I said, it is snappier. You can spike flick it. It's a little bit faster, but it doesn't feel quite as premium. It doesn't quite feel as silky as some of those actions. And you don't get a drop shot action like here. It's disengaged, so I have to kind of shake it for it to drop. I've had it, maybe it breaks in after a longer time. I've had it for maybe 4 months, and so it hasn't broken in yet, or so far. Okay. One thing that I like a lot is, they have this big groove, and it makes it very easy to disengage. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine to be able to easily disengage the lock bar on a knife. So that's something that they're doing very well. But I don't think this is a fidgety knife by any stretch of the imagination. You could thumb stud deploy, not thumb stud, but deploy it with your thumb. It's the access for that is very good. But again, I don't think this is a fidgety knife. This wants to kind of do the Sebenza thing without actually doing it very well. So the action, I'm kind of wishy-washy on the action on this one. But where I am not wishy-washy is in the cutting, the sheep's foot blade, the blade shape, and the orientation of this. You know, it's kind of an up swoop, right? So cutting down on something like it's a little less than the Spidey Chef. I think the Spidey Chef has even more pronounced the angle of cutting versus the angle of the handle. But this it has a relatively thin thickness of the blade. Let me show you here. So you can see it's much thinner than what you get from a PM2. It's much thinner, so it's much slicier. So I don't think this is a heavy duty knife. I think this is, like I said, this is very much slicing through cardboard. Very nice cooking with it, especially cooking with it, because that's where you're gonna end up you know, being in this position where you need to be a little bit off the board so you can get all the way down to the cutting surface, you know, when you're going flat. And that's why the Spidey Chef is even more, so that your hand is even more out of the way. But I think this is a happy medium where you can still, you know, use it not just for the kitchen but for other things. I think the cutting's very well. And S90V, that's I think it's awesome. You know, I think we're spoiled a little bit because the M390 steel is such a great steel. It really is. It's such a good edge retention, a really good balance of toughness and corrosion resistant. It's such a good steel, but we get a little bit jaded, right? And I find it that I do enjoy the fact that it's S90V. It has like that little difference, right? And S90V is not the, you know, the weirdest or the outlier steel in the bunch, right? There's many knives with S90V, but I think it's far less predominant than what M390 is. So I do like that. For cutting, very good. You know, and it's weird, right? That a knife's supposed to be for cutting, and that should be its primary attribute. But as knife collectors, we're looking for much more than that, right? So it can't be just about it cuts well, you know. But I will give it that it's an excellent cutting tool, or an excellent slicing tool, without ever getting to a heavy duty cutting tool. So fit and finish, and that's where I think this one is really good. You know, for this design, you know, again, they did S90V. This is part of the Taichung, Taiwan factory, and you can see right there, Taichung, Taiwan, right here. And they do a lot of the high-end Spydercos, you know, like the Chubby. I think the Schlishu is also part of the Taichung, Taiwan. I think the Domino was made in Taichung, Taiwan, and you get all of this milling, you know, that you get in kind of higher end knives. It's not as nice as obviously what you get from like a Holt or like a Herman knives or a Skiff or anything like that. It's not that, but it's very nice. It's very subtle, and it just gives it this very nice texture and very nice appearance. But there's things about the design of the knife that are a little bit baffling to me, and I'm gonna get, well, let's do that. I think the fit and finish is excellent. I think the Taichung, Taiwan Spydercos are some of the best that they do. So the fit and finish are excellent. My airing of grievances, my complaints about the knife have more to do with the design rather than the execution of the knife. In other words, I think Spyderco did a really good job in producing and building the Sinkevich design. I think maybe my beef is a little bit more with Mr. Sinkevich, and you know, I'm just a YouTuber, right? But let me tell you what my complaints are. And the first is the pocket clip. The pocket clip, it seems like an afterthought, right? It's just this kind of bent pocket clip lamination thing that they just threw on here. for a $540 knife, I think that's it's a really bad look. And you know, because you back here, it's not even recessed. I don't know if this will come across, but it lies on top of the scale, so it literally they just slapped a clip on there instead of being like a little recess that they could recess, that they could, you know, kind of make it flush so that the pocket clip would be flush with the scale. It's something that you see in most higher end knives, and it's not here. You have this bent pocket clip that it's. Let me try and show you how shallow that is. That is the traditional pocket clip on a PM2, and that is the pocket clip on the Drunken. So hopefully you can see that the space between the scale and the pocket clip is very shallow. So when you're trying to get it onto jeans or something like that, it feels like you're really pushing it in there. You know, the thickness of the jeans, you know, especially at the pocket where it's a little bit thicker, it's not deep enough. Okay, so the pocket clip, I think, is a huge miss. It's a huge loss here. It does what it's supposed to, but it's just on a $540 knife. Again, it seems like a complete afterthought, that like they just slapped something in there, like they forgot that they were gonna put a pocket clip, and then they say, well, I'll just drill a hole and slap one in there, and that's kind of what they ended up with. It feels like they did it out of scrap. That's what it feels like. And my biggest complaint, my biggest drawback to the knife is, I think part of the reason that this is not very fidgety is because, as you can see from this side, the access to the Spyderco hole is very good, right? So if you wanted to do like that with deploy with the thumb, that works. But most of us, first, we don't like deploying with the thumb, especially on a hole. Most people, at least me particularly, when you get this knife, you don't go like that, right? You want to go like this, right? You want to do the Spidey blade. That's the whole point. But here, the lock bar is this design of this lock bar and the blade shape. It's such that you only have access to about half of the hole. Okay, so if you have larger hands, okay, I mean, I guess if you have small hands, that'd be fine. But for me, I mean, look at my finger, right? So I really have to kind of crook my finger in to kind of get behind the lock bar and really try and deploy it. I think that's a detriment of the knife. I think, I mean, the fact that you can see through the hole and into the lock bar insert, you can see it right there. I think that's a huge miss. You know, yes, you do have a really nice disengagement right here, and I love that. But man, you know, what's most important is the deployment. And you've seen me fail it probably 2 or 3 times here while I've been handling the knife. And it's because it's very hard for my large hands, I wear large gloves, to really get in here and deploy it reliably. I think I'm not sure how they could have done the design differently. I don't know if the lock bar it should have gone down this way and leave a little bit more access, but something should have been done. I think that's a huge miss. I would say that if you like the design, I think it's an excellent cutting tool, and I think if you like the milling and all of these things, I think there's people that make aftermarket clips. So I would suggest that if you fall in love with the design, that you get an aftermarket pocket clip. But I would try and get it not at $540. I think, man, I would try and get it at $400 if I could, or wait until they come on sale again. I don't think it's worth $540 by any stretch of the imagination. I just don't think that the value is there. I think so. If you get for $425 or $430, you get an XM18, and then for another $100, you get a nice titanium scale. I think you get twice the knife on an XM18 than you do here. Okay, at $350, $400. Man, me personally, I'd still go that way. But I think, you know, the carbon fiber titanium is 90V. There's things here that have value. Man, it's just I think that the price point is it's a little bit wacky on this one. But anyways, hopefully this has been helpful to you guys, and if it is, then, and if I earned it, then do like and subscribe. Don't hit the bell. Nobody likes to get notifications. And until I see you at the next one, take care.